A lot of people quit doing content when they still feel like they're kind of talking to that empty room to an extent, when they've been putting out a lot of content. How did you keep going? Because, it happened for you. You're a thing now, right? You just got signed by a very big publishing company to write a book, which we are going to talk about. But it broke open for you. How did that happen?
It got to the point in my personal life where if I didn't create, it was more painful than the pain of doing the work. So I just decided that I need to do what is coming through me, what is coming up out of me. And if I don't do it, I'm going to suffer for the rest of my life. And everyone wants to live outside of their comfort zone, but it is scary out there. And so we come up with a lot of strategies to try to delay that inevitable discomfort. And I still face it to this day. Like I went off YouTube for a while. I still have to egg myself on to produce, to write, to put stuff out there because it is uncomfortable every time. And so I just thought, well, eventually, if you don't give up, eventually you will succeed. I really think that's the difference between everyone, is just some people stop early. Have you ever seen that diagram where the person stops right before the graph goes up?
Right.
Something, it's like either you give up or you keep working at it and you figure out a way to be successful, whatever success means for you. And even now, the visions that I have for the videos I want to create, I don't have the expertise or the budget or the equipment to make them. But in the meantime, I can still make what I can make. And you're always going to think back and wish that you had started 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like imagine it was 10 years between the time I quit blogging in 2007, 2008, and then published my first video. So I could have been creating content that whole time. And you think of what you could have learned during that time. And another thing that happened is I got into live streaming because my poker clients were like the first Twitch streamers, the first live streaming stars. And talk about talking to an empty room. You could be sitting on a Twitch live stream in 2015 with one person coming in and out and being like, oh, there's no one here, and then leaving. And that gave me the practice of being able to talk to an empty room and talk just to talk. And so I used to laugh when people would say, oh, you're so good on video. I'm like, oh, try doing 500 live streams to
you
people.
Get good.
And then eventually you get into a flow. So I think that I would just tell people listening just to do the work and just practice. And eventually one day it's going to click, and you don't know when that day is. And I'm actually glad that I didn't go viral sooner, because from my perspective, it took a really long time to start figuring out what the heck I was doing on YouTube and how it all worked. And I have seen so many people who got lucky and went viral early, and they never had to learn anything below the surface of YouTube. They just coasted off of that initial success. And I can now look at their channels and I can understand that they don't understand the platform. They're just putting videos out because one of their first videos went viral. So I think that that's good, and that things don't really come naturally to a lot of people. So don't let that hold you back. Like with the DJ thing, I learned to DJ during the pandemic. It took me 2 years to even be able to play in front of other humans where I wasn't completely embarrassed. And the first time I played, I knew I waited too long because I was booked every single week for the next 3 months. So I was like, well, I should have been doing this way earlier. So yeah, it's like they say, if you're not embarrassed by your first product, then you waited too long to launch. That applies to everything that you do. Like you should be very embarrassed by your first YouTube videos, and you should be embarrassed by your videos 3 months ago and 6 months ago for the next 10 years.